Maya Thompson stared at her phone screen, her thumb trembling slightly as she typed the message. She had been awake for almost 30 hours, juggling double shifts at the small family diner and then pulling a night of freelance data entry work to make rent. Her eyelids felt heavy, her body screamed for rest, but her mind refused to stop running through the endless list of worries that had defined her life for the past few months. She was 26, a single mother to a 6-month-old baby boy, and her world revolved around keeping him safe, fed, and healthy. The problem was that safety and stability cost money she didn't have. She had meant to text her friend Lucy, who worked part-time at the same diner. Lucy had promised to ask her cousin if there was any night cleaning work available at his company. Maya's heart had leapt at the possibility, even a few extra hours of pay would help cover the formula that her baby, Noah, needed. So she typed out a long, desperate text, fingers flying over the screen while she waited for the bus. "Hey Lucy, it's me. I know I already asked, but please check again with your cousin. I'll take any shift, even if it's just one night a week. I'm getting behind on rent again and the baby's been sick. Please, I'm getting scared." The bus pulled up with a squeal of brakes. Maya hit send, slid her phone into her coat pocket, and climbed aboard, cradling the diaper bag against her chest. The city was just waking up, gray and damp, streetlights still flickering out as dawn broke. She sank into a seat near the back, her body swaying gently with the motion, her thoughts already moving to the next worry. The late utility bill, the pediatrician appointment she might have to reschedule, the fact that her boss at the diner had been giving her that look again whenever she asked to leave early. Her phone buzzed a few minutes later. She pulled it out, expecting Lucy's familiar stream of emojis and supportive words. Instead, the name on the screen froze her blood, Mr. Bennett, CEO. Her heart jumped into her throat. She blinked, wondering if her exhausted mind was playing tricks on her. But no, it was there, the contact name clear as day. Oh my God. Her stomach dropped. She had texted the wrong person. Not Lucy. Not her friend. She had just sent a message about being broke, scared, and desperate to the CEO of Bennett Enterprises, the massive corporate office building where she'd recently taken a part-time data entry job on weekends. Maya clutched her phone, mortified. She had been at the company for less than a month, hired through a temp agency. She'd barely spoken to the man except for one brief encounter in the elevator, where he had nodded politely, his tall frame and tailored suit making him look every inch the corporate god he was rumored to be. Daniel Bennett was a name that carried weight, one of those untouchable business prodigies who built empires and appeared in glossy magazine features. And now he had just received a message from one of his temps begging for extra shifts and admitting she couldn't pay her rent. Her first instinct was to delete the message, but of course, it was too late. Her second instinct was to throw her phone out the bus window. Instead, she slumped forward and groaned softly, earning a sympathetic glance from an old lady across the aisle. "You okay, dear?" the woman asked gently. Maya nodded quickly, forcing a smile. "Just tired," she said, though her cheeks burned. She wanted to text back and apologize, but every draft she wrote sounded worse than the last. "Sorry, wrong number. Sorry, Mr. Bennett, please ignore my message. Please don't fire me." Nothing sounded right. After several failed attempts, she finally shoved the phone away and told herself that maybe he wouldn't even see it. He was a CEO, after all, surely he didn't check his texts personally. Maybe he had an assistant for that. Maybe her message would get lost in a flood of other communications. By the time she arrived at the office, her nerves were shredded. She kept her head down as she signed in and settled into her cubicle. The floor was quiet, filled with the soft clatter of keyboards and the hum of air conditioning. She tried to focus on the spreadsheet in front of her, but her brain refused to cooperate. Every few seconds, she glanced at her phone, half expecting an email from HR or a text from the temp agency telling her not to come back. It wasn't until mid-morning that her phone buzzed again. Her heart skipped a beat. With trembling fingers, she turned it over. A message from an unknown number. "This is Daniel Bennett. I believe you sent me a message in error." Maya's face went hot. She wanted to melt into the carpet. He had seen it. Of course he had seen it. Her hands hovered over the keyboard as she tried to think of a reply that wouldn't make her sound even more pitiful. "I'm so sorry, sir. That message wasn't meant for you. Please ignore it." She sent it quickly, then buried her face in her hands. She didn't expect him to reply, but a few seconds later, her phone buzzed again. No need to apologize. Are you all right? She blinked at the screen, rereading the words 3 times. Was he asking if she was okay? That wasn't the kind of message you expected from someone like Daniel Bennett. She typed slowly, yes, sir. Just tired. It's been a long week. Please don't worry about it. There was a pause, and then another reply, I see. You mentioned your baby was sick. Do you need time off? Her chest tightened. How could she even answer that? She didn't want pity. She didn't want to sound like she couldn't handle her job. No, sir. He's doing better. I can manage. Thank you for asking. The conversation ended there, and Maya tried to shake it off, but it lingered in her mind all day. His tone had been polite, even kind, but she couldn't stop feeling exposed. That night, after picking up Noah from the neighbor who babysat him, she fed him and rocked him to sleep, still thinking about the texts. She wondered what someone like Daniel Bennett thought when he read her message. Probably nothing. Maybe mild annoyance. Or maybe a fleeting moment of curiosity about the desperate temp who had slipped into his contact list by mistake. The next morning, her phone buzzed again while she was dressing Noah. She hesitated before picking it up, expecting another reminder about bills or work. But it was him again. Morning, Maya. I spoke with HR and approved overtime for the data team. If you want extra hours, they'll reach out. Her breath caught. Wait, what? She read it twice, unsure if she was imagining it. He had gone out of his way to approve overtime, for her. She typed back quickly, thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. He didn't reply, and she didn't expect him to. But her heart felt strangely light as she headed to work. True to his word, HR called before noon. The company was launching a new data project and needed weekend help. She said yes before the woman could even finish the sentence. That night, after putting Noah to bed, she allowed herself one small luxury, a cup of tea and a few minutes of silence. For the first time in weeks, she felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe things were finally turning around. 3 days later, the hope shattered. It started with a cough. Then another. By morning, Noah's tiny body was burning with fever, and his breathing had turned shallow and raspy. Panic flooded through Maya as she rushed to get him dressed, her hands trembling. She called her pediatrician, but the line went straight to voicemail. In the end, she called for an Uber and went straight to the emergency room. The next few hours blurred into a haze of fluorescent lights and medical jargon. She sat in a hard plastic chair, clutching Noah's blanket, watching nurses and doctors move around her. The sound of monitors beeped in a steady rhythm, a cruel reminder that her baby was in danger. The doctor finally came out and explained that Noah had a severe respiratory infection. They were admitting him for observation. Maya nodded numbly, her mind half numb with exhaustion and fear. She sat by the hospital crib, stroking Noah's tiny hand, whispering lullabies through tears. Her phone buzzed several times, work messages, probably, but she didn't have the energy to check. It was hours later, sometime near dusk, when she finally remembered her phone again. There were 3 missed calls from an unfamiliar number and 1 voicemail. She pressed play, her heart thudding. A calm, deep voice filled the speaker. Ms. Thompson, this is Daniel Bennett. I was notified that one of my employees was admitted to County General with a child. I just wanted to make sure you're all right. Please call me back when you can. She froze. Her thoughts scattered. How did he know? Who told him? She looked around, half expecting him to walk into the room at any moment. Before she could even think of what to do, her phone buzzed again. Another call. The same number. She swallowed hard and answered softly, hello. Maya. His voice was steady, calm, yet carried a note of concern she didn't expect. This is Daniel Bennett. She hesitated. Yes, sir. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean for anyone to notify you. I'm fine, really. My baby he got sick. I'm at the hospital, but he's stable now. There was a pause, then his voice again, quieter. I understand. You don't have to apologize. I just wanted to make sure you had what you needed. Do you have anyone with you? Her throat tightened. No, it's just me. He was silent for a moment. Then he said, all right. I'll have my assistant send something over for you. Food, maybe some supplies. You shouldn't be worrying about that right now. She shook her head quickly, even though he couldn't see it. That's really not necessary, sir. I'm okay. Please don't go out of your way. It's not out of my way, he said firmly. You're part of my team, Maya. That makes it my business. For a long moment, she didn't know what to say. The words lodged in her throat, a mix of gratitude and disbelief. No one had ever spoken to her like that, not since her parents passed, not since she had been left to raise Noah alone. Thank you, she whispered finally. When the call ended, she sat staring at the screen for a long time. It felt surreal, this powerful man taking the time to care about someone like her. But an hour later, a hospital staff member came in with a delivery bag. Inside were fresh sandwiches, bottled water, fruit, and a note written in a neat, firm hand, for you and Noah. Wishing him a fast recovery, DB. Tears filled her eyes. She ate quietly beside Noah's crib, every bite tasting of gratitude. She didn't know what this strange connection meant or why he cared, but for the first time in a long while, she didn't feel completely alone. That night, when the hospital quieted and the fluorescent lights dimmed, Maya watched her baby sleep and thought about how a single mistaken text, born from exhaustion and desperation, had reached someone completely outside her world. She had meant it for a friend, for someone who would understand her struggles. Instead, it had reached a man who lived in a glass tower, a man she'd assumed could never relate to her life. And yet, somehow, he had answered. Outside, the rain began to fall, soft against the hospital windows, while her phone sat on the tray beside her, screen dark but full of possibilities she couldn't yet imagine. She didn't know that this moment, this intersection of chance and kindness, was only the beginning. Within hours, the story would twist again, in a way that neither of them could have predicted, binding their lives together far more deeply than a mistaken text ever should have.